am ready to go. Thanks, Kate and Ravit. Hello, everybody. I am Susan Walsh, the classification guru, fixer of dirty data. Welcome to my data den. I'm going to be talking about between the spreadsheets for you guys today. And I'm going to do a 10-minute whiz through of all things that might just be in my book in more detail. So first of all, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, and then I'm going to talk about what is dirty data, because it's different to all of us. What are the consequences of dirty data? And how can we ensure that data accuracy? And then actually, let's do some practical stuff in Excel. How can you maintain and spot check that data? And then other tools, because not everybody uses Excel, not everybody uses BI or anything else, Alteryx or Click or whoever. And I'm going to share with you something very special that I created at the end, which is the dirty data maturity model. Finalizing with a summary and maybe a little treat for you at the end. So, first of all, who am I? Where did I come from? Why am I here? Well, first of all, I fell into data by accident, like most of us. You know, that wasn't my first career. After my first business failed, I had to get a job, and I had to just get anything. And so I ended up in spend data classification for a spend analytics company. And that's where I really found my love for data. Not only did I enjoy it, but I was really good at it. And then after 5 years there, I decided to set up the classification guru. I've been doing that for 4.5 years now. And I work across all industries, countries, languages. I classify and normalize data, build customized taxonomies, cleanse suppliers for P2P implementations, and cleanse databases. And of course, as you've seen, what we all know about, I've written my book Between the Spreadsheets. So let's start off with what is dirty data, because it can be a whole number of different things. So first of all, it could be misspelt words. It could be incorrect descriptions. It could be missing codes if it's a product. It could be information in the wrong columns. And I see this a lot with addresses. So you end up with the postal or the zip code in the town column, and the state and the city column, and everything's all over the place. Or maybe someone squeezed the whole address into one cell, which causes a whole other world of problems. And then there might not be any standard units of measure. You know, we're increasingly a global community. So how do you spell liters, for example, or kilometers, or meters and miles? You know, what kind of units of measure are we using? And then that might bring with it currency issues as well. You know, I've seen instances where I've had a $500 taxi come up about 5-10 times, and it's because the currency conversion hasn't worked properly. So it's worth checking and making sure you don't have those things. And then here's the one that causes the most controversy. This is formatting issues. And the thing that I'm going to talk about is dates. So I would love for you to put in the comments column how you format your date right now. I just delivered a presentation to a company earlier today. That was one company, and they had lots of different date formats. It's amazing the number of different dates that you will see within even just one department, let alone a company. And that can cause all kinds of issues. You can't get documents to match up because the dates are different. They're all in different formats. It gets crazy. And then with all of those things, we have, of course, our old friends. Where are you? There we go. The duplicates, or the duplicates, maybe. So they will cause multiple efforts of work, extra storage, all kinds of things. And I'm just having a quick look in the comments, and you guys are right. You are all going, and we've all got lots of different date formats, and that's exactly how it is in every single place in the world. So let me just share with you a couple of examples of dirty data in my world. So the first one that I want to share is LinkedIn. So, you know, we are on LinkedIn now. It's a networking platform. It's a recruitment platform. It's a job hunting platform. It's a training platform. What it is not is a restaurant. But somebody classified it as that because the description said restaurant. And that's when context in data is so important. You shouldn't just be looking at one single cell or one single row or one single column. You should be looking at all the data, because then it gives you context and gives you a picture of what should actually be going on. And then the other part of that is that you should never assume that you know something. So my next example is Tinder Corporation. I classified some data for a charity here in the UK, and Tinder came up, and I was like, what? That's not right. And then the description said data cabling. And I thought, well, that doesn't sound right. And there's no way that my client would be using Tinder in any way. So I did a little searching and found that actually Tinder Corporation Limited is here in the UK, and they're an IT services company. So it's a really great example of not just assuming that you know everything, and again, using that context of the data, so all the columns, all the rows, because sometimes it might not be different columns that guide you. It could be the rows and the values. So it could be quantities, or it could be dollar amounts, and you might have like 11111, 500, 1111. Then you can see that something doesn't look quite right. And it's the same with normalization as well. I normalize suppliers, and I see Granger a lot in data sets, but actually in the UK, they're a house builder, and in the US, they're industrial supplies. So again, that's when the data really helps, the context of it, to guide you normalize. Because if I normalized all that together, it would mean that house building or rental would end up being classified as probably hardware, like nuts and bolts. So that's no good either. So why should we even bother about it? Why can we just leave it? Well, actually, you're going to save so much time if you fix your dirty data up front. It's going to be costly to rectify, and it's going to affect decision-making processes, such as things like your bonus or the future of the company, headcount, etc. It's going to impact all areas of the business. It's wasted money that you are throwing out the window. GDPR, for example, or any kind of privacy laws, if your addresses and personal information that you hold is not accurate, you're in breach of those laws, and you could be subject to a heavy fine. And then reputational damage too. What if you do get fined a huge, like 4% of your turnover? The damage to the reputation could be much higher than the cost. And of course, dirty data makes your life more difficult, and who wants that? But, these are all negative things. Is there any, benefits to, keeping our data clean and not having some problems? Well, yes, there is. And that's increased profitability. So you might be working on a project and you might have clean data, and it might mean that you finish your project in 80% of the time instead of 100% of the time. That makes the project more profitable, which means your business company makes more money, which means you might get a bonus. So hopefully, in theory, it might benefit everybody. But, that's great. What about the consequences, the real consequences of dirty data to a business? What can happen? Well, it can affect things like cost savings if you're in procurement, supplier negotiations, supplier rationalization, forecasting. Imagine you order too much or not enough. Budgets. Targeting the right customers. Imagine if you have the wrong information in your database and you're sending out all this post to the wrong people. What a waste of money. And then shipping the correct products. If the product codes are wrong, then it's not going to go to the right place. And it's analytics as well that it affects. So here's some unnormalized suppliers. When we normalize them, look at that. There's only 4 there, and the values have changed. That could hugely impact decisions that are made within a business. And it's things like technology implementation as well. Data cleansing is often neglected. You only find the errors once it's, implemented. Staff lose faith in the data. They don't want to use it. They don't trust it. And they go back to siloed Excel sheets. It costs a lot of money to fix. You have to hope that staff will adopt that technology. And then the project is abandoned. And that happens a lot. And then with AI, machine learning and automation, it's the same thing. People are not cleaning it. The AI learns from training data sets. If they're not clean, it's going to just learn from bad data. Same with ML. And it's the old adage. It really is what they say, rubbish in and rubbish out. So I've got to move on here. So, ensuring data accuracy, how can we do that? Well, first of all, there is no quick fix, magic button, or software that will help you. You have to look at new data about with a person. You have to get the whole organization involved. Data is everyone's responsibility, not just data people. You have to agree those common standards and processes. You have to maintain and refresh that data. That's my biggest tip that will make your life easier. And spot check it too, because people can accidentally delete things, cut and paste, overwrite. It can cause a whole load of problems. And then you have to make sure that your data has its coat on. So first of all, it has to be consistent. Then it has to be organized. Then it has to be accurate. And then it has to be trustworthy. And very quickly, I'm going to go through maintaining and spot checking the data. So very quickly, if you have just Excel, you can open a pivot. It's not the easiest way, but you can put it into a tabular form, remove the subtotals. Then you'll have everything along the way. You can start to scroll down and look at, say, names and classifications or product codes and descriptions. You can also add in detail if you wanted, and then you can scroll down that way. In terms of other tools that might be used, well, it's the ones that we all know. It's things like BI, Tableau, Click, Alteryx. I personally use Omniscope. Then jumping on the dirty data maturity model, plenty more of that in the book. This is basically something for everybody to get the whole organization relating to understanding where their dirty data is on the scale and how they can make it better. And this is something that anybody could look at and understand regardless of where they are. So very quickly, I'm going to summarize now. And, it's accurate data is critical. There are no shortcuts. Know and maintain your data. Agree those common standards. Get everybody involved and make sure that data has its coat on. And I don't know if I have time, but I'm going to play this anyway.
Are you leaving your data out in the cold? You wouldn't go out into sub-zero temperatures without the correct protection, so why do so many companies forget to protect their data? Unprotected data can lead to bad business decisions that cost money and put jobs at risk. That's why your data needs its coat on. This means making sure your data is consistent, organized, accurate, and trustworthy. Consistent means using the same standards, terms, and classifications company-wide. Organized data makes it easier to find. Think of it like a messy closet. It can be difficult to find what you're after, even when you know it's in there. When organized correctly, it becomes easier to find what we want. Data should be accurate, which can mean different things to different people, but at its most basic level, accurate data is correct. And finally, data should be trustworthy. This is critical. If your team can't trust the data, they might not use it. And business decisions around jobs, staffing, and budgets are all based on data, so it's got to be right. Like any coat, there are differences in the quality of data services out there. If you buy a cheap coat, it might not be waterproof or protect you enough, and it won't last more than one season. If you don't invest in good quality data services, you will end up paying twice as much, if not more in the long run, to fix the earlier mistakes. If you'd like to speak to an expert about data in your own business, visit theclassificationguru.com to find out more.
And that is me. There is my QR code. Come find me on LinkedIn, ask me questions. And yeah, thank you for letting me overrun Kate and Ravit. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we almost cut you off twice, Susan. You went over and then you went over again. It's okay. Our audience is patient and they wanted to hear from you. And you have cool prizes to make up for going over time. Yeah.